science to its rightful place. It seems clear to us that the sciences, at least in the public sphere, the sciences still provide the most legitimate, if not necessarily the most powerful, discourse about nature. So we were going to ask, what relation does your work have to the natural sciences, and where you see science's current political and ideological position vis-a-vis the discourses that you more directly address, i.e. neo-romanticism or economistic instrumentalism?
Can I say to that, because what I'm going to say is very just like a footnote to what I just said, which is that I profoundly disagree with Slavoj Žižek, who says that science, that basically in a time of ecological crisis we should just let the scientists get on with it. I think our job as humanists is to actually ask those irritating, be like the Columbo sort of irritating guy in the back of the room who asks the irritating question that kind of blows everybody's mind or makes everybody at least scratch their head, right? So I've been accused of not wanting to help the victims of Katrina, you know, that I'm too busy with my head in the clouds theory, you know. And the last time I was on a roundtable like this, I was ganged up on, you know, as Mr. Theory in the room, for not wanting to, you know, and of course I would bring a bucket to anybody's house that was flooded. But my job that I'm paid for is to theorize, and that means to reflect. And I don't think that theory and practice are that ideologically separated. But the trouble is, this idea keeps popping up, and you've got to kind of whack-a-mole it every time it pops up. Right? So I think that, you know, we're in the business of, Shelley has a very good phrase. He says that, and this was back in the early 19th century, he'd even seen it then, right? That we lack the creative faculty to imagine that which we know, right? So we have a lot of information, but what does that mean? What do we do with it? You know, so I don't think we should just like be a footnote there and kind of quizzically asking questions that kind of are like footnotes to the sciences. I think we should actually be literally telling them what to do. I really think.
How does that begin? I mean, how do we?
Well, I think we should start a webpage that says, you know, weird questions you should think about, science people. And make it very, very easy to access. And anybody who wants to can start their own one, and we can just make it globally distributed and viral. Let's do it now. Yeah, I'll start it now.
I mean, how would this compare to, say, the connection between the cognitive science people and the moral philosophers who do these, you know, the thought experiments that get published everywhere?
Well, because we are sort of left queer theory deconstruction weirdos. You know, we're asking questions that, you know, from a point of view and from a lineage that sometimes despises science in a most Philistine way, kind of faux sophisticated Philistinism. You wouldn't believe the number of continental philosophers who actually say with some pride that they don't believe in evolution. It's just amazing. You know, I'm coming from that place, yeah. So we have a right to ask weird, daft questions, because to me, a lot of philosophers all assume consciousness is intentional. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good question, because it implies a lot of other questions, like, can animals enjoy art? You know, can we enjoy art? What is art? All that stuff that we think about a lot.
I have spent a lot of. Oh, sorry.
Question over there? Oh, no, behind you.
I'm a philosopher of mind. I just wanted to say, I think it's actually very controversial whether consciousness is intentional. It's probably a minority view of philosophy of mind, but the people who don't think it's intentional are probably more likely to. I don't know. You may still get your claim out, but very simple creatures have consciousness. So I wouldn't commit to saying that it depends on whether consciousness is intentional.
I don't think I would either.
So they might not think that. I mean, you might think that pain and pleasure is crucial, when the ability to feel pain and pleasure is at least highly significant in terms of whether you think animals are moral consideration.
The only trouble with that is that, as Kathy was saying, that pain and pleasure language, it's not necessarily the case probably, but it's been quite heavily co-opted by the rights people, who who are by default about this big club called humanity, and we should admit as many people to this club as possible. And if you think there's something a little bit fishy about that, mixing my species here as I talk, you might have to find another area. So it's not the idea, it's more like the attitude to the idea. And in a way, what I study in English literature is attitudes to ideas, which is sophisticatedly ideology. And it's that side of it that I'm trying to fix, not what you're doing, which is also part of it, I think. But it's good to know that, because when you see AI philosophy, a lot of it assumes that consciousness is about having some kind of little world picture in your head.
Yeah, well, I also think that a lot more animals have more world pictures in their heads than
Right.
humans supposing. It seems to me that
That would be great to find out too. That would be great to find out too. But it might also be great to find out, do you need a world picture? Like there's that robotics idea that you basically just don't want to fall. You're walking along the sand and you just don't want to slip over. You don't really have an idea of what sand is. You're just kind of, it's the same with me, right? I'm just trying to not spill the grape nuts. And maybe I don't know what grape nuts are. Maybe grape nuts don't know what they are. I'm just trying not, and so,
Cereal.
right, it's like a cereal, it's
Breakfast
really
cereal.
nice, malty. The day isn't complete without it. And then you let the milk settle into it. Yeah.